Join me, Siphumelele Ndlovu, as we look back at the year 2023. Welcome to Oh What a Year It's Been. Yes, Sawbona, and welcome to yet another episode of Oh What a Year. My name is Siphumelele Ndlovu, your host. Today's episode looks and probably sounds a bit different, and that's because I am recording outside. As you know, this episode is a couple days too late, and that's because when I recorded the episode, I just wasn't happy with the way it looked. I wasn't happy with some of the things that I was saying. I just was not happy with it. And I think a lot of it is because of the type of space that I was in mentally. I was not in the greatest space. And I think that really came through in the content. So I just decided to take some time out and really just get myself into a better space. And yeah, I think that was the lesson from that, is to really be soft with myself. Like I'm always saying on here that people need to be soft and kind to themselves. I needed to extend that to myself. And so I took some time out, and today I decided, you know what, in the spirit of fresh air, in the spirit of being soft and kind and nice to ourselves, I would sit outside and do this outside. So there are going to be many different sounds that we've never heard on here before. There'll be birds chirping, lawns being mowed, and probably planes overhead, but we move. I just hope that the wind is not going to be too much, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. So anyway, today's episode is about something that you regret doing or something that you wish you did this year. And you know what, if I had put that episode out, that was definitely going to be one of the things that I regret. I would have regretted putting that episode out because I wasn't going to be proud of it. I wasn't going to be happy with the quality and all of that. Regret is often an emotion that is taken as a negative emotion. We think about regret as a bad thing, or we think that wishing that we'd done things differently or wishing for things to be different is a bad thing, but it's not. I feel that that is the type of emotion that we can tap into that's going to help us to do better and be better for ourselves and the people around us going forward. So before we get into this, I must give a quick disclaimer that I am not a qualified therapist or psychologist, and that this program is merely for discussion purposes only. Any advice or opinion given during this episode should not be taken as a substitute for professional assistance. If you are dealing with a mental health, family, or personal matter, please do reach out to a professional. Free and affordable resources are in the description box below. Let's get right into it. The first one says, I wish I was a bit more patient this year. Patient with myself and those around me. One thing I noticed is that we're so used to the fast-paced life and being stimulated so often that we can be impatient and irritable towards people when they don't do things the way we want. Even towards ourselves when we repeat a certain cycle or make a mistake because we know better. So yeah, I wish I was a whole lot more patient. It would have prevented a lot of frustration, fights, guilt about a lot of things, and I would have been able to notice the blessings and beauty of life in its abundance more clearer and with a happy, peaceful heart. Honestly, life is not that deep. Totally have to agree with this response. I think that we are so used to living such a fast-paced life that we don't take the time to really smell the roses. I think one of the ways that I can apply this in my own life is with my road rage. If you follow me on Instagram or have followed me on Instagram for a while, you'll know that I used to have raging road rage. I would cuss and scream and be terrible, you know what I mean? Until I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm late. If I'm late, I'm late, and there's nothing that I can do about it at this point in time. I'll arrive when I arrive, but let me make sure that I arrive safely and alive. And that's really helped me to be a bit less frustrated, because I'm not stressed about getting there on time or getting there at a closer time to the time. If I'm late, I'm late, and it's okay. Like, life is not that deep. I'm really glad to hear that you have realized this and that you're extending that grace to yourself, especially with cycles. So I was reading through my old journals, and I noticed how I was repeating certain cycles and patterns from 2021 and last year and so on and so forth. And it's only this year where I was able to break a lot of those patterns. And one thing that I noticed is that I was so mad at myself for not breaking the pattern or not realizing that this thing will never change and it'll be the same thing over and over again. But sometimes we need to just give ourselves that grace. You know what I mean? Like, we need to just slow down, smell the roses, and give ourselves that grace. So I'm very happy to hear that that's exactly what this person is doing. And I hope that this continues to show some great results in your life where patience is concerned. Thank you so much for sharing. The next one is one of our combo deals, those 2-in-1s. The first one says, I regret giving a boy from Twitter my time. And the second one says, going on that hinge date with that one. Big waste of my time, energy, and money. Ooh. Umjala the dating. So I think one thing I always believe is that there's no such thing as wasted time. And I think those experiences are great for seeing what you like and what you don't like. One perspective that I think I've applied to dating is that it's really trial and error. It's how you see what you like, what you don't like, and you learn to do better. But I think more than that, it is a great lesson on yourself. Shortly after my life-changing breakup, I started getting on Tinder, and I remember meeting this guy, and I thought, oh my goodness, this guy is perfect. Now, what was perfect about this guy is that he was Zulu and he was tall. Those were the things that made him perfect. And during our 2-week interaction, I think it was 2 weeks, our 2-week interactions, there were weird things that happened during that time that I accepted, and looking back, I cringe. But that was such a great experience in seeing what I like, what I don't like, and also just in seeing myself. Like, I was able to see about Ntombazane, why are you so accepting of these things that you know you don't like? Why are you so okay with being in a certain type of experience, knowing that that's not what you want for yourself? So I think, in as much as you might regret giving those people your time or giving those people your energy or spending your money on those people, I think it's a great lesson in knowing what you don't want going forward, and in looking at yourself and understanding why it is you made certain decisions and why it is that you shouldn't make certain decisions. We live, we love, and we learn, and hopefully you'll do better for yourself next year. Thank you both so much for sharing. So the next one says, I wish that I graduated, although I can't because I have modules to finish. I just wish that I did and I got a better paying job. Thank you so much for sharing. I think this is so valid. So I don't know how many people know me and know this about me, but I did my 3-year degree in 4 years, and it was sad. Like, it was very sad when I saw people who I started school with graduating, and some of them moving on to their jobs and all of that sort of stuff. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But one thing I want you to understand is that, and this goes back to what I said, I think it was in the second episode, about timing and your time and God's time for your life. I know it sucks to not have finished school. I know it sucks to still have modules outstanding, but understand that when it is your time, it's going to happen. So take whatever steps you need to take to ensure that you graduate, whether it is by taking one module at a time because you don't have enough capacity when it comes to time or money, or whether it's just going back to school and trying again. Do what you need to do to get to your goal of graduation, but understand that it will happen when it's supposed to happen, at your time. With that said though, understand that your time is coming and it's going to happen for you, and I cannot wait to celebrate you when it does happen. Thank you so much for sharing. The next one says, I wish I worked harder to get myself out of debt and didn't carry the burden of my mother's bad decisions. Girl, I know this. Like, I felt this. You know, one thing that will hold you back in life is debt, and sometimes it's necessary. And I'm not saying that it's great and it's a good thing and we should all run to jump and get ourselves in debt, but I'm saying that sometimes the situation you're in forces you to get to that place. So don't be so hard on yourself. I myself have landed myself in that pickle before, and I know how terrible it is and how terrible you feel about yourself, how you beat yourself up. So I cannot imagine how you feel with the fact that your mother's decisions are what has landed you in that position. However, what I can say is that there is an end to it. There is an end to it. Sometimes it takes a year, sometimes it takes 6 years, sometimes it takes 6 months. But with discipline and consistency, you'll be able to finish it. So what you can do is really look at your budget and look how much you can afford. And if it's more than what your installment is, that's even better, because then you can literally cut the interest that you have to pay. So look at your budget, look at how much you can afford, and then plot it out on a calendar. Literally plot it out on a calendar and see how long it's going to take you to finish it. And trust me, with discipline and with consistency, you will finish it and you'll get to the other side. I'm sorry that you're finding yourself in this unfortunate position, but like I said, there is an end and everything will be okay. Thank you so much for sharing and all the best. The next one says, I wish I had taken the job earlier in the year, even though it's not the one that I wanted. It's so crazy to me that I'm reading this after what I posted on my Instagram last night. So I was going through my old journals and I saw an entry that I made on the 13th of September 2022. So I had just gotten out of an interview for my previous job, and one of the things I wrote was that I just got out of an interview with the creative director of this and this company, and this role doesn't sound like what I want. So obviously, with this being my previous job, it obviously means that I took the job. And let me tell you, exactly a year later, I was emailing my resignation because I was so miserable and I hated the job so much. All this to say that you not taking that job was a good decision, because even if you had taken that job, you would still have been answering this form. You would have still been talking about that job, because you'll be saying, one thing I regret is taking a job I know I don't want. One thing about taking a job you don't want, it will show you why you shouldn't take a job you don't want. So I'm very proud of you for being self-aware and not doing things that you know you don't want to do. I believe that in life, when we go for the things we want, when we only go for the things we want, we minimize our chances of getting things we don't want. So if, for instance, when now you only like pink clothes and you just buy pink clothes, your chances of showing up in a blue outfit, slim to none. I think that is something that we all need to apply in our lives, to really only go for the things that we want and minimize the chances of us landing in situations where we don't want to be. With that said, your job is coming. Your job that you love, that's going to be the one for you, is going to land on your lap. Obviously, you're going to have to apply for it and interview and all that sort of stuff. But what I mean is that it's coming and it's going to be yours, and you're going to see why things didn't work out with all the other stuff. And I know that's so cliche. That is so cliche, but it's true. When you go for things that are meant for you, you see exactly why everything else didn't work out. So thank you so much for sharing, and all the best with your jobs. The next one says, I wish I started on my content creation journey sooner. I've been so scared. Same, sis. Same. I was thinking back when I was in varsity, like if I had started on my content creation journey back then, I would have been so far. I probably would have big numbers and a big following and brand deals and whatever. But I also believe, like I always say, in God's timing and in God's plan. I think that everything happens when it's supposed to happen, and now is your time, I guess. The advice I would give you right now is to do it. Do it now, and do it scared. Do it with what you have. Again, I was reading through my journal and I was so sad at the beginning of this year. Was it the beginning of last year? I was so sad at the beginning of 2022 that I didn't have a camera and I didn't have this and I didn't have that, because my plan was to have all of that done. And I then read deeper into the entry, and I said, one thing I need not forget is that the magic of the content is not the camera, it's not the lights, but it's me. It's my talent, and it's what I have to say and what I have to give to the world. And now I'm saying that to you. It doesn't matter that you are going to start your journey now. It doesn't matter that you're starting your journey without this, that, or the other. Just start. Start scared. Your people will find you. I think that's another thing that was stressing me out about my content journey. When I came out with conversations with my grandmother, I won't lie, I really expected it to be a hit, which I think it is. I think it is a hit, and I think it was a hit in its own way. But how I expected it to be a hit is that I expected crazy numbers. I expected like 16 billion subscribers and 75,000 comments and shares worldwide. And that's not how it happened. But one thing I always tell myself is that they will find me. When they find conversation, I'll probably be on the 6th or 7th series by then. They'll catch up. People will catch up. So don't worry about the numbers. Don't worry about the equipment. Don't worry about anything but starting. Start now and everything is going to work out as it should. All the best on your content journey, and I cannot wait to consume all your content and be a part of your journey. Thank you so much for sharing. The next one says, I wish I was more honest with my partner. Girl, I'm gonna need more context on this one, because what do you mean you wish you were more honest with your partner? Like, do you mean that you wish you were more honest about how you feel, or maybe how things are going in your relationship? What exactly is it that you need to be honest about? Regardless of the context and what it is that you're being dishonest about, I think the important thing to say here is the fact that you being dishonest with your partner is you being dishonest with yourself. By being dishonest, you are robbing yourself of the type of relationship you want and deserve. So for instance, if you're being dishonest about the fact that you're not enjoying the sex, you are robbing yourself of good sex, because maybe your partner doesn't know what they're doing wrong or how to better satisfy you. But if you were honest with them, you would move in that direction. If you're dishonest with your partner about the fact that you don't want to be in the relationship anymore, you are robbing yourself of a happy existence. If you need to be more honest with your partner about the fact that you don't want to be in that relationship, for instance, you are robbing yourself of a happy relationship. You are robbing yourself of being in a relationship where you fully want to be there and you're happy to be there. Whatever it is that you need to be honest with your partner about, I want you to be honest with yourself about it first. I want you to ask yourself why you don't think you deserve to be happy. I want you to ask yourself why you don't think you deserve to have a great sex life if the sex is a problem. If you don't think why you don't think you deserve to be in a happy relationship if that's what the thing is. You deserve to be happy, and one of the best ways to be happy is if you are being honest with yourself. Like they always say, the truth will set you free. So I would implore you to be honest with your partner, but more than anything, be honest with yourself. And that is what will lead you to a better, happier existence that you deserve. Thank you so much for sharing, and all the best. Next one says, I regret not saving enough. Financially, this year has shown me flames. Maybe you and I both, this year financially has just been a maza. You know, when you are when you touch and hold an app on your iPhone and all the other apps start shaking, that was my life financially. Like, one thing fell apart and everything was shaking. So I totally understand what you are saying by I think another thing about saving is that it's so difficult to save what you don't have, because I think for a great part of this year, and I don't know about other people, for a great part of this year, I was literally just making it, sometimes barely so. I was just making it, and there was really nothing to save, which then brings me to the fact that when there was something to save, I probably should have saved. Like Ecclesiastes 3 says, there is a time for everything. There is a time for brokenness, which was this year, but soon there'll be a time for abundance. And I think during the time of abundance, it will be very important for us to make different decisions than the ones we made before. We have to save, and even if it's just 100 rand a month, in January you can only save 100 rand, and then in March you win the lotto and you can save 5,000 rands. Save what you can when you can. A little goes a long way, and it's never too late to start your saving journey. May we never experience a year like this ever again, because this was nonsense. But all the best to you on your saving journey, and sizoba right. The next one says, I wish I listened to my ancestors more attentively. I regret not recognizing my own power and time. One thing about me, same. I really, it's crazy to me how a lot of these scenarios today are so relatable to me, but definitely same. One thing about the underground gang though is that they're very vague, abayana. They're very, very vague, and they're not very easy to hear and understand if you're not somebody who has been hearing, understanding, and following them closely. I think that as you journey with them closer, is the louder you'll hear them and the better you'll be able to recognize them speaking to you. I think that the fact that you can hear them now and you can recognize when they're speaking to you shows that you have learned that, and that I think is the biggest thing about your journey or journeying with your ancestors, is that you are learning them. You are learning how to hear them, and you're learning how to understand what it is that they want from you. I'm very happy to hear that you are recognizing your power and that you know your power. There's only growth and greatness that awaits you. Keep journeying with your ancestors closely and keep hearing them. I think one of the greatest ways to hear your ancestors is to listen to yourself. I feel that, and I don't know if this is true for other people's journeys, but with my journey, I really feel that in listening to myself, it's me listening to them. All the best with your journey with your ancestors. I really do hope that it gets stronger and better. They love you so much and they want only the best for you. So listening to yourself is listening to them, is a surefire way to get you to the best possible situation for yourself. Thank you so much for sharing. The next one is, I regret not working out and taking care of myself. I'm an emotional eater, so this year was all about drinking and eating. I honestly regret not working on my emotional eating habits. Thank you so much for sharing. I think this is something a lot of us can relate to. So maybe not eating and drinking, but for some people it's smoking, for some people it's gambling, for other people it's sex. We all have a vice that we use to shut up the things that we really should be facing. The fact that you have acknowledged that and that you know what the problem is and how you are making the problem worse, so to say, is the first and the biggest step. So now that you know this, what are you going to do about it? What life or body or existence do you want for yourself? And what are you going to do to get closer to that? And I guess we've already seen that it's about emotional drinking and eating. So maybe instead of doing that, face your emotions and actually get to understand what it is that's causing you to do this. Because you can gym all you want, you can run and jump and skip and hop all you want, but if you haven't really started facing the core of the problem, you're gonna land back where you are. You might stop eating and drinking, but you might get on another vice. Do you know what I mean? So do take the time to really face the real truth of what the cause of this is, and it'll get better. But I would also encourage you to change your habits, to eat better, to exercise a bit more, and it's going to be difficult, but it's all about discipline. It's really all about how much you want the life that you want for yourself. So how badly do you want it? I really would encourage you to reach out to a professional if you cannot afford one. Resources are in the description box below, and get started on your journey to a better you. I can't wait to hear from you next year when you're telling us about all the things you have achieved, big or small, in this journey of yours. Thank you for sharing. The next one says, there are people I regret knowing or allowing to see the vulnerable side of me because they've used it against me. I get that. I get that. You know that feeling you get, that cringe feeling you get after oversharing. So I can imagine, but this is probably like 10 or 20 times that, because these are people that you've opened up to and that you've been vulnerable with. One thing that I would encourage you to do is to own your experience. Whatever your experience is and whatever it is that you have shared with them, own it. Because no one can shame you about something that you own. For instance, one of the things that I had was my alopecia before I went bald. My hair probably started over here, I'm joking, but I had like really severe alopecia, especially on this side, traction alopecia, and I would do the hairstyles that I wanted to do, and I would go out confidently because you can't shame me about it. Okay, fine, and now line, and now what? Like, what is you shaming me going to do for me? Like, it's not gonna grow back, it's not gonna come back, and I'm hot regardless. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if somebody I have borrowed money from, for instance, goes around telling people, yo, Dingamboni at Tatabi podcast, don't see her busy on this what a year of hers. She had to borrow 500 rand from me, and what about it? And what about it? Like, I was down bad, I was down cataclysmic, and I needed help, and I reached out to you for help. I think that says a lot more about those people than it does about you. It says that you trusted people, it says that you trusted the wrong people, but it also says that they are not to be trusted. They are untrustworthy people. So own your experience, and in that way no one can shame you for an experience that you own, because that is your life experience, and nothing they say or do will change that. But also listen to your gut feeling. I always feel like your intuition tells you about Sana, not this one, don't trust this one. So learn to hear yourself and your intuition even better, and you'll know who not to trust and who to trust with indaba zakho. But all the best to you, and thank you so much for sharing. Please be soft with yourself. Okay, so this is the last one before I share mine. I regret not putting myself first and getting the help that I needed sooner. I've always stood tall for everyone in my life, but this year was the year my shoulders collapsed. I fell into such an unhappy state, and I didn't think that I could get myself back to what I was. I've started therapy, and although I think I started too late in the year, I'm proud of the work that I've put in so far. I regret not being a priority to myself. Damn. I think that could be a lot of us, people like putting other people first. I think now I don't know who this is, but I think when you are in a position where you feel like you're responsible, so sometimes like when you're the firstborn, especially daughter in a black household, or when you are a man in a relationship or whatever, you really feel that it is your responsibility to show up for certain people in certain types of ways, and that leads to you putting yourself on the back burner, and that can get very tricky. I am, however, very happy to hear that you are on your journey back to yourself and to putting yourself first. You mentioned here about how you think you started therapy too late into the year. I think there's no such thing. There's no such thing as too late when it comes to working on yourself. Right now is the right time for you to take that step towards yourself, to getting to a better place where you can be there for yourself and fill your cup first. So there's no such thing as too late to start therapy, especially in the year. Like maybe it might be late in the year because it's November, December, but it's not late in your life. And I think that is really the bigger picture here, is that you're not just doing this for 2023 or 2024. You're doing this for the rest of your life. You're equipping yourself with the skills and the tools that you need to be able to manage your responsibilities, but manage your mental health as well. So congratulations to you on that. I really am proud of you for coming to this realization and doing the things that you need to do to get to a place where you are better for yourself and the people around you. All the best on your journey back to yourself. Thank you for sharing. All right, and so now it's my turn. Personally, I'm the type of person to not really have a lot of regrets because of what I said earlier. I own my experiences and I own my life experiences. I take the lessons where there are lessons and I take the wins where there are wins. But that's not to say that there aren't things that I look back at and think, oh, I could have done that better, or oh, I wish I had done that better. And one of those things for me is opening the door to people after having closed it. Like, there are people that I've fallen out with or that I've removed from my life for whatever reasons, and this year they came back around and I thought, you know what? This person might have changed, this person is doing better, this person might have had the tools or gotten to a point where they sat down and they figured out what they did wrong and they're doing better. I learned a lesson that people rarely change. People very, very rarely change, and that it's okay to love people from a distance. It's okay to forgive people, and it's okay to miss people. It's okay to miss people that you used to have in your life, but that doesn't mean letting them back in. That doesn't mean that they have space in your life anymore, because one thing about people, they will show you who they are. So that's one of my regrets. The second one is I regret not asking for help sooner. Like, this year was really tough for me and I struggled a lot, and in a lot of those struggles I felt like I had to struggle by myself. I had to find myself. I think it's like the person in the previous one where it's like I felt that it's my responsibility to claw myself out of the trenches, and I didn't ask for help when I had so much help. Like, when I did ask for help, I realized that I have so many people who love and care about me, who are here to help me to carry the load of this life. And it was a very crazy realization for me at the time. I remember I even almost cried when a friend of mine literally reached out his hand and he was there for me in one of the smallest, seemingly insignificant ways. But it was such a crazy moment for me because I let someone into my struggle and I allowed them to help me out of it. So I really do wish that I had asked for help sooner. But I think the biggest one for me was I wish that I had decentered myself sooner. I feel that there are times where I made things that weren't about me. There are times when, for instance, and this is a silly example, but like texting a friend saying, friend, I need help, or like, friend, I'm panicking, or friend, whatever, and the friend not responding in time, or whatever I think in time is, and then getting upset about that or catching feelings over that, to a point of our relationship not being the same or sometimes even falling apart. I wish I had decentered myself sooner. I wish that I'd understood that, like, people's actions aren't always about me. Like, it's not always about me. It's not always about me. Like, I need not take that personally, because people have their own lives going on. People have their own things going on in their own lives that they maybe have not communicated to me, and that I need to give my people grace and space to experience their own lives as well. So I really do wish that I decentered myself sooner, or even in times where I feel that type of way, communicated it as soon as I did, instead of being mad or grumpy or sad or whatever. I think that the moment I decentered myself, my relationships became so much richer, because I understood that my friends' actions or inactions are not about me, that my friends still love and care for me, even if they don't respond to my texts immediately. So yeah, decentering myself, I think, was one of the greatest things that I did for myself, and I really do wish that I had done it sooner. Thank you so much. If you have watched or listened to this point, it means so much to me. Thank you so much. Do let me know what you feel about our different setting. Do you like it? Do you want me to move back into the house? But thank you so much to everybody who has participated in this episode. Do catch the next episode next week, Sunday, we hope. And please do fill in the form in the description box below. The questions that we are looking at now are for 2024, for the second part of Oh What a Year, which is Oh What a Year it's going to be. The dogs are telling me to cut the cameras, so I'll do just that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Until then, God is good and life is still so beautiful. If you want to be part of future episodes, simply click the link in the description box below to participate.